Good morning, everyone. Radio check, radio check. Well, today's ride is from Reefton back over to the Canterbury, over to a place called Lincoln. I'm staying with my friends there tonight. I thought I'd record some of this trip for you just as we go across here. So I've got to work my way up here. This is called the Rahu Saddle is where we're heading. We've got the Untitled River on our right hand side, and that drains all these high hills left and right here all the way to the top of this pass. The Untitled eventually hooks up with the Buller River the way down Untitled Junction and on out to Westport and into the Tasman Sea. So this is beech forest we're travelling through here now. The word potocarp comes to mind. So as we go on up here, the trees get shorter, more stumpy. This here on the left and right is a scenic reserve, and it had never been milled. What I find when I do these commentaries as I'm riding through different parts of New Zealand is that I've got to pitch my story to my friends in England and Ireland and America and Aussie, who are not familiar with the New Zealand roads and the New Zealand scenery. So it may seem a little bit mundane to the Kiwis who would do exactly what I do and ride around these lovely roads of New Zealand here. What I plan to do is just talk about the highlights and a little bit of a story about some events that have happened along this road as I remember them over my lifetime. But you can imagine that this road here in the winter, it doesn't see a lot of sun, and we're high up in the Alpines now. I don't know what height we are. I can find that out as I go over the Rahu here, but this is all subject to snow and frost, and often road closures due to deep snow. We used to have to carry chains at all times when we were coming over these passes in the winter, and sometimes chains essential was the warning prior to departing to come across. New Zealand's geology has been formed by massive shifts in the tectonic plate, giving rise to upthrusts here that we all call the Southern Alps. These are the big range of mountains that run from the bottom of the South Island right away up to Cook Strait, really. You can imagine there's fault lines all through this area as well, that we get earthquakes and landslips and tremors as the pressure is released in these massive tectonic plates coming colliding together. Around here, a place that we all know as Palmer's Bend, exactly on the fault line, which runs right away down to Franz Joseph Fox Glacier, all the way down there. I may be able to point the line of hills out that head through. You can see now that there's not many mountains ahead of me, because I'm more or less looking due southeast at the moment. But I'm coming up for the top of the pass now. It seems so easy to fly up here on a motorbike to get to the top of these hills, because it's the engine just got so much power it can fly up here without any encumbrance at all. Just to the left there's a little stream there, and that's the Untitled River, for God's sake. It's only a tiddler way up here, but when it's down there Reefton there, it can be when it's a banker, a massive big river, a big flow of water draining all these hills here. So we're up to 7 meters high of elevation above sea level here, and I'm just cresting the top of the Rahu Saddle here. So we're moving out of the Untitled Valley now and down into the Marawi Valley. The road through here has been improved a heck of a lot over the years. We've got these slow vehicle passing lanes there so that the cars can slip around the freight trucks and the slower moving cars and things. But I can remember when this was a gravel road here as a kid. There's one spot down here that was very memorable to me when I was a younger, where a car failed to take this corner, this next corner here. My friend Arthur Bass said that it was a big Wolseley, and I do remember that now too. He came round this corner like so, and it wouldn't have been as smooth a transition here then, but he took off and he went straight into that face there with the car and slammed into that big rock, stopped dead, and the car burst into flames. And with all the fuel on board, it scorched all the bush and everything straight up the big face there. And that remained there as a reminder. Not the car remained there, but the big scorching in the bush remained as a reminder to me to be cautious on these roads here. But that would have been back in the 60s, I suppose, that happened, so it wasn't a recent event. Now we're coming up to Palmer's Bend here, and you can see the big valley heading away up through there. Well, that's the big massive fault line that runs the full length of New Zealand. So there's a range of hills back over to the right here, lesser ones, and the main ones are over the other side here. But if you were to go on up that road there called Palmer's Road, that would take you through the fault line. And as I look back this way, more to the north, the fault line runs right through here, and we have the township of Murchison at the other end that was subject to a big earthquake in the 50s. So Murchison's at the far end of this valley. My next landmark here is Springs Junction. There's a fuel station and a restaurant here, and Nelson Petroleum Distributors have got a new depot here, and that's what I'm going to do, is just top my bike up. Although I fueled her up in Hokitika, I've now done close to 250k since I filled her up, so I'll give her another drink here, and then I'm assured, because I've got this desire to roll into Lake Sumner on my trip across here, a place that I haven't been on the other side. So here we are at Springs Junction, and I'm just going to pull into the fuel depot here and give her a wee drink. We're entering the Lewis Marsh National Reserve at the moment, but I'll just show you something here that's happening over this last 10 years. The Department of Conservation are putting camping areas throughout New Zealand for the people that are like to see the country in camper vans, etc. And so they've set one up here at Marble Hill, they call this one. So these are DOC, or Department of Conservation campsites here. You need to be self-contained with your vehicles, and they provide parks and picnic areas for you like so. And so this is well marked on their website, but they've also got an association with the New Zealand Caravan and Motorhome Association as well, and they when you're a member of that, you can couple that with a pass to the campsites around New Zealand here. So you could just park there if you wanted to, providing you don't leave any rubbish and abide by the rules, etc. So these are areas here that you can enjoy the splendour of the mountains, etc. And this is the start of the Lake Daniels walkway. You go way in through the back of those hills there to the right, and way you go up in there, a place called Lake Daniels. Now I haven't been up in here, so let's go and have a quick squiz because we can. So they see they've levelled off areas for your camping van all round like so. They don't really provide barbecues or anything like that, but yeah. Oh, water supply there too, so there you go. An 80-foot wall erected in 1964 to monitor movements of the Alpine fault. So it's a bigger area than I thought. I thought it was just a small one up the top of the hill here, but you can see how you can get away from the road traffic noises by being under the bank here. And I don't know, I think you can pitch your tent and do whatever you want. It's not just specifically for motorhomes. As kids, we used to come up here to a place called the Marawi hot pools. This is part of the fault line here where the hot water from way down deep is able to be accessed, and they've turned it into a tourist resort here. This lovely bit of beach forest is always lovely to ride through as well. But as kids, there was 2 water courses across the road here, and I remember them fondly. Whether it would be flooding or there'd be stones on the road, etc. But they've since been bridged. Maybe this is one here I'm coming up to now. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, this would have been one where there was a water course years gone by, but they've all been way upgraded now to national road standard. These are one of these slow vehicle bays that I'm on now. But you see these flats here, when I was kids, that had sheep and cows all on it, and it was much more open, and now it looks as though the dock has precluded the animals being on here, so it's back to nature as much as possible. And see, the grasses are all grown there, and just let it go back to nature again. But the cows used to be, you have to watch out for cows and sheep on the bloody road. Well, that's not an issue now. Another road safety improvement is that, and it's not fenced now because there is no animals really. The only animals are deer and goats that may be in this forest around us here. 16.5 degrees Celsius here as I ride through this forest. Out in the sun it's getting up to 20. So we're working our way up to now the place called the Lewis Pass, but there's a significant place just up here that I'll show you. So I'm rocking up onto the Marawi Springs Thermal Resort, and this has also got parking there for camper vans and things to camp here and have your meals, etc. But this used to be a great big old pub here, and it's been modernised now more recently. And I'm wondering whether I can get down the bottom or not. But across there you can see a pipeline going across the river, and under that slip there, that's where the hot pools are there, and pull them back into these swimming pools here that are utilise that hot water to stay warm. I have to go down here to do a U-ey to get out of here now. This has all changed since I was here. We had carte blanche to go wherever we wanted in years gone by. Carte blanche. That's French for please yourself, I think, isn't it? Let's get out of here. So now we got about a 2-3k ride up on this angle all the way up to the top of the Lewis Pass. If you could smell what I could smell, you'd be smelling the brakes of that big truck coming down here. He's been using his engine brake, but he's also used his brakes quite strongly, and they get a bit of a honk on coming down here. Well, here we are at the top of the Lewis Pass summit, 907 metres tall. So effectively we're dribbling over now, we're into Canterbury. So it's a gradual climb, descent all the way down now through the alpine forest, and you'll see the trees are changing already. They are not big tall beech trees, but more short stumpy ones, because this area has a colder climate here. But we've got these flats here. There's still no stock or anything on this alpine stuff. And there's walkways all through these valleys and that have been established now. St. James Walkway. Oh, there you go. Now that takes you around the back of these big mountains to my left, and on round and get back towards Hamner Springs in the back there. Years ago we used to come across here spotlighting and come into these little flats here. It's now all surprises me. They've developed it up into campsites for people here, put toilets here and everything. But back there in the bush, I think that's the spot there, there was a hot water pool, and we'd come over here shooting deer and things, and we'd always go there and clean ourselves up after we'd gutted and got the deer in the vehicle and everything. You're always covered in blood, so we called into this spot here called, what's it called now? Deer Valley Campsite. So what was an old rough area that we'd clean ourselves up in is now a campsite for the tourists. But deer of a night time, they'd come out onto this grass on the side of the road, or little flats like that, so you'd come through and then flash the light round, and their eyes would light up, and invariably you'd be ready with a gun and whammo. And sometimes you could get 1 or 2 deer a night. Here you come all the way over, you have a cup of tea and a rest at this end and then come back. But a lot of other people were doing exactly the same thing as well, and you had to be careful, because in those days stock were allowed up in here and they grazed them around here, and you had to make sure you identified your target properly. But to me it looks as though there's been no animals here for years and years. It's all closed down and all the scrub is all reverting back to native bush. This is an example of the gravel that they flick onto the roads out of the back of trucks when there's snow and ice around. That's a light gravel there. They don't use the salt, and that just ensures the grip on the corners and in the shadows and shade. But they prepare this site here with all the stone and that they want. It's depleted at the moment, but no doubt before the winter that'll all be filled up. Being over there, but these flats would often have deer on them, and we could sneak out here and then throw the spotlight over these bottom flats here, even right across to the creek there. Sometimes wander away up through the back there. This is where we used to come along here with the spotlight and have a look at this flat over the back here, and invariably the deer had come down off those hills there, out of that bush on the other side there, out onto these flats here. But then once you get a deer down there, then you've got to get it out too, so you've got to go way back there and sneak down there. And it's ideal if you've got a Land Rover or 4-wheel drive. I haven't been in here for years. It's ideal having an adventure bike. You can go and have a look around again. The Deer Stalkers Association have got a big hut there, and I see there must be quite a collection there. There's about 30 cars parked around it for the weekend here. Some of them just come camping, I suppose, and talking about old times, but invariably there are others away up in the bush here hunting and poking round. So let's get out of the Matagari here, check right and left and see that there's nothing coming and get underway. It's only when you start looking for these things do you see that this is the what they refer to as the Pop Conservancy, and that means there's no animals on here at all. All these here, I haven't seen an animal for ages. There's a station down around the corner here called the Poplars, and this must have been one of their runoffs during certain months of the year. But no, I can see now that there's been no animals in here at all on this piece as well, so she's going back to nature as well. And the land looks better for it too, doesn't it, without the big animals there thundering around, bowling the bush over. So this is this valley here to my left now is another way to get into the St. James walkway there. There's a campsite there where you camp either end of the track, and some cabins and some places there. What's this one say? Boyle River Sediment, St. James walkway. That's how you get into there, alright. So this is something new since I've come back to New Zealand. I've been back 5 years or so, but I've been travelling the world since 2000, and these conservancies in the upper headwaters of the valleys and that, and them closing them down to animals and stocks is something that's happened over the last 20 years. And it's only because I'm riding the bloody bike here that I'm taking a notice of it. But these paddocks to the left here would have had animals in it in years gone by. She's all locked up now and reverting. In years gone by we referred to this spot here as the Ministry of Works camp, but now it's the road maintenance is given out to contractors, and I see back there Hecking Construction. Who are these fellas? Where some contracting firm, they get the contract to maintain and look after the roads all through here. So the Ministry of Works is no longer doing that, but that was where the roadmen used to camp there, and when the roads were shitty or blocked up with snow and ice, they'd move from there rather than coming from the city on up here to do the job. So I'm looking down on the Glen Y station, but up in there where the road snakes around there's a little Horseshoe Lake, and I've always wondered how that was formed. So I stopped here to have a look, and you could see maybe the glaciation coming down the river, or aggregation. So effectively it's a tarn, T-A-R-N. To my right there is that lake I'm talking about. In there, you see, just trapped in here as though, I'm unsure how it got here, but it's a big horseshoe lake. There's the other side of it down in there. I can only imagine this landlocked bit of water, end of a glacier or something like that from years ago. Anyway, if those that know a little bit more about the geology than I do might be able to put that in the comments, how the Horseshoe Lake at Glen Y was formed. So our objective is to head down that big valley there, and Hamner Springs is in the distance, the furthest away hill. So I'll turn you off and stop rabbiting on. We've got a turn off here to Hamner Springs. That's a thermal resort up here under the hills. Big hot pools and spas and massages and great accommodation there. There's a ski field there, I think, and mountain bike trails and hitchhiking, and that's the southern end of the Molesworth track and the St. James walkway and the St. Rainbow Mountain toll road through to St. Arnaud. So that's quite a crossroads there to North Canterbury area of recreation. Right, this is a bit of New Zealand I haven't been on. This is into Lake Sumner. I'm just turned off the main highway there. I've always wanted to go and check this out, and I've either had other people in the car with me who have been of two minds whether they want to go in here or not, but because I've got one person on this bike I can decide to go myself. So Lake Sumner is a way of understanding a pass through the Southern Alps here, and if you were to go over a pass in the back of Lake Sumner, that brings you down to a place called the Terramacau on the other side. It's a low mountain pass, and I think it's about 30 k's up to the pass from the Terramacau side, and I'm not sure how far from this side, but there's two lakes here on this side here that we'll go and have a look at and see if we can understand the geology up in here. Harden back that way, the peaks up here, Lake Sumner up there, Huranui River winds. Let's go this way. Some sort of harvesting machine. Oh, it's a header. A 2366 Massey Ferguson. Here's the start of the gravel. I'll click it into sports mode and that makes it a little more responsive. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm in sports mode now, and already I can feel it tightening up in the shocky department, so hopefully that gives me a bit more grip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stands. But I bet this farm has reduced the number of sheep and moved over to cows too, or deer, because the wool prices are not real good. The calves there. Top left there, see that orange light come up? I hope it's not a puncher. Well, I stopped the bike there in the shade, done a lap rounder, kicked the tyres, hopped back on, and the warning light is gone. So whatever that was, it'll get picked up on the service, I hope, when I get back home. I'm due for a service right now, but it'll have to wait until I get back to Tauranga. A bit steeper than you think coming up here. The camera doesn't do justice to it. It's not hard to ride, it's just rough to ride, isn't it? I'm thinking there's not much traffic up in here today. This being a Sunday and all. In and out of potholes. Oh no, what do we got? Nice little Bonavista Vista. Sneak over this side. No sign of a lake yet. to go on an adventure, you've got to have a bit of apprehension, uncertainty, and going on a trail that you've never been before. Now, this is a good one. My apprehension comes from that warning light. But these are great reliable bikes, and she's done me well so far. And the light's not on, so let's just hope that's a fault with a fault light. Do you think we go right when we get down the bottom of this hill, or to the left? I'd say it'd be to the left myself. I could pan out with the GPS and get an idea, but it doesn't matter anyway, does it? We're just going to follow the road to the end. I think it's about 23 or 24 k's in here, so we've got to allow an hour to sneak in here, because I can't go about much faster than 23 kilometres an hour on this sort of road. Once again, I'm not doing much steering with my hands. I'm just using my feet, applying weight to the inside, the side that I want to go on. So I want to go around this corner to the right, just put weight on the right boot. I let it off and around she comes. This way, that way, this way. Look well ahead, don't look straight down, look well ahead, and look for that soft pea gravel where the cars have built it up in the middle there to avoid that. Then you've got to look around the corner ahead of you in case there's some other person coming up. My knees are bent too, just to take the shock out of things, so it's quite a comfortable ride riding here above the bike. Yeah, we're going up that valley there to the straight ahead, I'd say. There's some people playing in canoes down here, coming down this little rapid. Can you see them in the centre there? I'll zoom in when I'm editing. But as my skills come up, the tyres go down. And the back one is not really a knobbly, it's just a road tyre there, and gives me grunt. It's all right in this stuff here, but you get it into mud and she just goes zzz, so that's not much good in mud. But really, I'm not going into mud, I'm just going in on these sort of roads here. Hello, looks like that's where the people down there put their canoes in to ride this gorge. See, they park there with a van with and they go to the other end and then pop out, and must be the vehicle come round and pick them up. Yeah, they must drag the canoes out and hop in the drink there. Bit more flow than you think too. One of the reasons I wanted to go and have a look at that lake, just to make sure I could come in here with the jet ski. I thought it would be lovely to get away up in the mountains there on Lake Sumner. I only got as far as Lake Taylor, but I could see the road round to Lake Sumner. I just had a couple of cars pass me, so they filled me up with dust here coming out. This is just as lovely a ride as going through Rainbow and Molesworth. It's really enjoyable. Wonder where those cars went to. There's one of them. The way the second car was skidding his wheels and things, I thought, oh, I'll catch him up easy. That's him there, down there, just coming off that bridge. We're nearly out of the gravel road here, coming out of Lake Sumner Road. I just got to climb up that pass there. Can you see the pass? Around there, a little bit more of rolling hill country, and then we are back out to a place called Waikari. That's where I'm going to stop and have a rest, wet my whistle, get a bit of food on board, and prepare for the final ride into Christchurch. I'm a bit hot here under all this gear, but it's certainly been worth it. It's a lovely ride in here. I'd recommend it to anyone that want to go do a bit of backcountry riding. The bike's running well, my warning lights are off. No sheep on the road. I'm just going to climb up this hill here now, and we're alright. This is what I like about this bike. I can get in these backcountry roads and have a gallop in here, but I've got to do it carefully because I'm Robinson Crusoe doing it on my own. So come on, Betsy, down to number 1 and give it all. Oh, well, I hope you enjoyed your ride with me, so I'm going to sign off now, and I'll see you on the next video. I wonder what'll happen next.